guys? So I know it's been a while, but I figured I might as well wait a few days to actually do a proper analysis of the ban list. So without further ado, let's actually get started. Now honestly, I really was expecting this to be kind of like an April Fool's joke for Konami, but they actually did end up, I guess this is a legitimate list that's actually out now. It's just a shame that we can't actually test it out. However, that being said, let's just go over every single card and talk about them. So starting off the list, we have here Steam the Cloak. Makes sense it would be banned. It just generates you a token. I think that these days any decks that have particular cards that can just generate a extra token for you to actually just go for your link plays, or otherwise just your synchro plays given the new format now. It's just really good. So having Steam the Cloak go all the way to 0, I'm honestly not too surprised. But that being said, it doesn't mean that Black Wings are actually weaker. Interestingly enough, Black Wings are potentially a meta deck in this particular format. It's a shame I won't be able to really build the deck because I don't have many of the new cards. Particularly Simoon, which is a really important card I need for the deck. Unfortunately, I have 0 copies of it, and with the current situation, it is kind of difficult to see what I can actually do about it. The second card we have here is Destrudo, Dragon Lynx. It was just really strong in the previous format, so it makes sense that it would actually get banned now. Honestly, there's really not much else to explain or talk about this particular card getting banned. It makes a lot of perfect sense here. Moving on, we have Glob Bulb. This card, very interesting. It has a similar case to Steam the Cloak because obviously it could regenerate itself, allowing you to just extend your link plays, but at the same time, with the new format allowing synchros, XEs, and fusions to become stronger, I do believe that Glob Bulb is going to be just a really key part in that, and because of that, it makes sense that it also got banned. They are definitely trying to cater towards the new format, the new rulings. As a result, a lot of cards might seem a surprise to you, but when you actually look at it in the extended or long-term basis, it does make sense that all of these 3 cards right now just got hit. Now the next card we have here is Lunalight Tiger. Kind of short-lived, to be honest, because I was really expecting this deck to take a big spotlight in this particular format, only to find out that Lunalight Tiger, one of the key cards, is actually gone. I mean, it helps revive your Lunalights, allowing you to generate a cycle, so it is definitely a really nice card. I've taken on Lunalight decks before using my own Salamangreat deck, and surprisingly, despite the fact that I was using a somewhat meta deck, I was still getting beat pretty easily against Lunalights, so definitely a deck that I do wish that I could actually, see what it could do now, because I still have my deck that I have yet to build, and it's not going to stop me from building it. I will still build Lunalights or rebuild them, but in this case it is definitely a huge shame to see that Lunalight Tiger is now gone. And for the last monster we have here Spiral Master Plan getting banned. Kind of unfortunate, but then again, Magician's Soul was kind of just making things a little bit too strong for Spirals. In fact, if anything, Spirals might have been far stronger than it once was at the first moment that they became a meta deck. But with this actually getting a hit, it kind of puts away the Magician's Soul, so we will be expecting the prices of those particular cards to definitely drop. But at the same time, I guess I'll definitely have to figure out some kind of way to make this deck better again, though it seems like a really difficult task ahead of me. Surprisingly, that was it for the Forbidden cards, and now let's move on to the semi-limiteds. The dangers, definitely getting really, I guess, consistent for different decks. It was becoming too generic, and I think a lot of decks were just starting to, I guess, tech it in and use it as generic draw engines. Because of that, Konami has definitely taken action into this by semi-limiting, or rather limiting, Jackalope and Tsuchinoko alongside Nessie, which was limited in the previous list. So seeing these 3 key cards get limited is definitely going to slow down this particular engine. But that being said, I am still not going to be surprised that people continue to play these particular 3 cards as a means to draw more cards. To be honest, you could think of them as if they were like an extra upstart goblin. Hitting them to 1, I mean, it will definitely slow them down, but we'll just have to see how things go. To be honest, I was never too big of a fan of dangers, so I honestly wouldn't be too bothered if they ended up getting banned as well, but for now, it's definitely going to be sufficing. Moving on, we have ABC Dragon Buster. Kind of a shame, I recently got a core off someone, so I really was hoping to actually build the deck to kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say bring it back to its former glory, but at least be able to have a bit of fun going up against the actual meta itself. So seeing that it's now at a limited number is kind of unfortunate. I'll have to say, it definitely is a huge restriction on the deck, but it was definitely something that I was really looking forward to playing. I could see why it would be really broken in this upcoming format, given you could just bring up 3 of them without using any links. It is definitely very strong indeed. That being said, same applies for Hyper Librarian and Trishula. Trishula I understand, because you could easily bring up 3 Trishulas in one turn. That's pretty much game over. It pretty much means you win. Hyper Librarian going to limited, kind of weird. I know Quasar is definitely a deck, or Cosmo Blazer is going to be a particular deck to fear for, but we already lost Glow Up Bulb, and we're also hitting Hyper Librarian to 1. It seems a bit too drastic at the moment. I mean, I figured that would at least allow us to test the waters, see how Hyper Librarian actually works at 3, and if it does get out of hand, then perhaps it'll go down to 1. But with this immediately hitting it to 1, it's kind of unfortunate that we won't be able to see it in true action. So kind of unfortunate there. As for XCs, we also have Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome, I am not too surprised. Paleozoics, a lot of different cards, or frogs really, have, I don't know, they've been gaining popularity again, and seeing that Totally Awesome getting limited to 1, again, not something I'm totally surprised about. However, that being said, Zodiac Dryden is now back to 1. It was originally forbidden, so definitely very excited about this. I mean, it's only at 1, but even so, it will definitely be very significant for the game. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, so Zodiac Broad Bull is still banned. That's kind of unfortunate, but with that being said, I'm not going to complain. Broad Bull is definitely going to make a lot of different decks stronger. So, you know, Fire Fists, Gladiator Beast, so it's definitely going to be too much there, whereas Trident is a bit more, I guess, it's not as impactful, because obviously it's not a surge card, and it's not as generic. So with that case, Trident coming back at 1, definitely going to be exciting. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next list they might even bump it up to 2, or maybe even 3, depending on how things go, but I'm excited to see Zodiacs coming back to the meta again, and hopefully it could be one of those top decks that dominate, because I do have a deck pretty much just sitting around, and I am really excited to build them and see how they actually go. As for the spells, we have Instant Fusion going to limited. Not surprising with Shadows, Instant Fusion's really easy to be able to use as many times, and it's definitely a card that would be very worthwhile actually hitting to 1, because you have cards like Millennium Eyes, you have cards like Thousand Eyes, you also have Theseus as well, which will definitely help out Synchros, or, you know, to go into Ultima Zolkin. It's incredibly easy. So hitting it down to 1 will definitely affect the consistency. I still do think people will definitely play the card because instant fusion is still a fusion card, and there is a lot of searcher cards that allow you to actually search out fusion cards. For example, the Predaplant engine is definitely one of the most prominent ones, so definitely really crazy there. And moving on, we also have Mind Control. This card, I was really sad to see it go. I mean, I didn't really take this card to be a really strong or broken card, but it was definitely something that I guess people were getting annoyed at dealing with. At least they went down 1 by 1. I mean, it was at 3 in the previous list, it went down to semi, and now it's at 1, so it's not something I was not expecting, but I guess like in this particular case, I am still sad to see it go because it was definitely something I always played 3 of in decks like Salomon Great, which really gave me kind of a small edge to winning over particular decks that I found to be quite difficult without the mind control. Now, one unfortunate thing about Trident actually coming back is that Barrage is actually now getting hit to 1. Zodiac Barrage was originally at 3, so that was definitely going to be something that was very impactful. However, that being said, Zodiacs are still going to be a top deck, despite the fact that Barrage is now at 1. The fact that we have Trident at 1 is supposedly meant to be a big deal. I've been seeing different deck profiles actually go up with Zodiac, so it is definitely very interesting to see what they can do. Haven't fully researched this yet, so definitely have to take a look into it and see how this particular card will impact the actual game itself. Specifically referring to Trident here, because I think despite the fact that Barrage went down to 1, apparently there is certain combos that could go really crazy for Zodiacs. And finally, for the semi-limit list, we have Malicious going down to 2 now. Definitely a great way to slow down heroes. It has been a top tier deck for the past, I believe, 2 formats, and I do still think it will be strong in this format as well, so no surprise there. Hitting it down to 2, obviously hitting it down to 1 will make it unplayable, but at 2 at least we could see a bit of a slowdown for hero decks, just a really teensy amount. However, moving on, we also have Widow Anchor. This card I was very surprised, it was limited and now it's just coming back to 2. Definitely not a card I'm looking forward to. I found this card to be quite annoying to deal with, and seeing that it's now at 2 is definitely going to be a problem. And it's kind of weird as well that they bring back Widow Anchor and yet they hit Mind Control. Just very counterintuitive, to be honest. And at long last, we have the unlimited cards. So we have Deep Sea Diva. It's going to be very fun to see what they can do. Obviously with Totally Awesome getting hit, kind of makes sense now, because if Deep Sea Diva is at 3, they could easily just turbo things out pretty crazy. That being said, we also have here Necroface, definitely going to be very fun indeed. Looking forward to playing this in my Metafest deck, so this will definitely be something to look forward to for everyone. I will have to look for a 3rd copy of Necroface, but I don't think that's going to be too hard. Just have to wait until this whole quarantine is actually over. But moving on, we also have a Spiral Gear Drone. I mean, who cares if it comes back to 3? I mean, we just lost Master Plan, so seeing this back, I mean, I could see myself playing Machine Duplication to make the deck a bit more faster now, since we have 3 drones, but even then, without Master Plan, we're definitely going to be struggling. And the final card, Pot of Avarice. To be honest, when it came off the list, well, when it was released at 1 in the previous list, surprisingly, nothing really happened. I mean, it wasn't really that much of an impactful card. At this point, everyone has access to it because you simply just have to buy a Shadow Structure deck and you'll get it. Even at 3, I doubt people will play it at 3. It's definitely a slow card, requires a deck to be really fast to turbo out cards into the graveyard. Even then, so many cards now can operate really well in the graveyard. So a lot of decks actually choose not to return their cards from the graveyard to their decks, and that's definitely going to be a huge significance for the effectiveness of Pot of Everest itself. But yeah, this is pretty much the entire list. I don't think I missed out on any cards. Let me just quickly check and see. No, definitely not. I was actually thinking of Brilliant Fusion, but I believe that was actually hit in the previous list. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this ban list. One thing I was definitely very surprised about was the fact that so few cards were actually affected. Considering the format we're about to enter, it's supposed to be a really crazy format, so I was expecting a lot more to actually happen here. I mean, they did hit a lot of problem cards that's, well, potentially problem cards. We can't really say for sure, and we'll never know. But, you know, Hyper Librarian, Globe Bulb, Destrudo, you know, with those particular cards getting hit, we're obviously not going to see anything too majorly crazy. But with that being said, it is going to be quite a shame because I don't think anyone can really test this out. I mean, at this point, I've tried going on Yugioh Pro, I keep getting disconnections. It makes sense. With everyone on quarantine, with everyone unfortunately losing their jobs, it does mean that there will be higher traffic on the internet. And because of that, we'll be expecting a lot of slower internet connections, potentially even disconnections, and that'll definitely be an issue here. So yeah, I'm not going to go into full detail about that particular situation. I might even make a separate video on that, but with that being said, definitely tell me what you guys actually think about this. I would have wanted to see more cards actually come off the ban list, just to see a bit of more fun here. To test out the waters, but at the same time I also expected some other cards that could have potentially went on the list. So yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think about this big list here. What did you guys want to see off the ban list, and what did you guys actually want to see on the ban list? But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great day, and definitely stay strong in this particular time. It is a very difficult time, so yeah, I'll see you next time.